Okay, we're back here in this. Looks like she still has more to say, so.
MC's mom must be proud of him. He's such a fine, upstanding young man, and he's gone through such challenges. Things that would break a lot of kids. But he's come out of it all right, and he even has the strength left over to lend his friends and girlfriend. He's a good kid.
So hey, do I take that to mean if I just reload this every time, that it'll, like, jump to the next topic? Ooh. Ooh, we can maybe get through this a little quicker this way.
Some people think that water isn't really blue and that it just reflects the sky. But water actually has a slight bluish tint to it even without any sky to reflect. Usually it's so faint that you can't see it in a normal glass of water. But if you look at large concentrations of ice, like in an iceberg for instance.
Did you mean concentrations or concretions? You wrote concretions. I'm guessing that's a word that I'm just not familiar with.
And you get below all the snow that's typically on an iceberg. You see that ice and water do have a blue tint to them if you get enough of it together.
How nice. Thanks, Ida. We're gonna keep loading until this is over with. I don't know how many topics she has.
In a way, I'm kind of glad to be here with you. I don't know if you can tell, but I'm pretty lonely. So it's good to have another human being so close by. Well, I'm not a real human being, but you know what I mean. It's tough for girls to grow up. All our life, everyone and everything promises us that a loving, committed relationship is the end-all be-all of life.
I feel like that's been the opposite in recent years.
And then you grow up and you don't have one. I've tried to be maybe a little less selective about the guys I date, but I don't know. I fluctuate between being completely hopeless and just resigning myself to a life of singledom, and being optimistic that the next date will be the one. It's hard, though, either way. Although things have occasionally looked better for me, I'm glad to be here with you. Thanks for being here with me.
You're welcome. I'm gonna keep loading, though. Hope that's alright. But, bring back a topic.
I find it very charming that Yuri walks with Sayori and MC for part of the way to and from school now. I'm glad that she was enticed to do that. I really think that helped her feel included. Perhaps it's been part of her growing confidence and sociability, even if both of those are still considerably lower than the average students. I just mostly worry about her self-harm. There's not much I can do to stop her or anything, but I certainly hope she stops.
Can she still walk with them to college? Probably not.
Some people accuse me of being a pyromaniac. They think I went into chemistry just because I like combustion and explosions. Now, it's certainly true that I think combustion and explosions are cool, but that's not the only reason I went into chemistry. And certainly my enjoyment doesn't rise to the level of being a pyromaniac. I never set fires or blow things up irresponsibly.
Sure you don't. I believe you, Ida.
But I mostly get along with the other teachers here. I'm not really friends with any of them, though. Maybe with Junko, that's Miss Hirayama to you. She and I are close. She's autistic and she likes to rely on me for certain things, but I rely on her too for certain things. It's a good friendship.
I'm glad you have a nice friendship with that one lady.
Natsuki and Yori are apparently trying to decide on their housing arrangements. MC and Monica got single rooms, and Sayori is going to have a random roommate, it seems like. But Natsuki and Yuri are trying to decide if they want to apply to be each other's roommates. On the one hand, it's obvious why they'd want to do that. But on the other, you're not supposed to be in a relationship with your roommate at this university. So that would be a little complicated for them to try to manage secretly. Why do I have the feeling that that actually makes it more appealing to Natsuki?
I don't know. I guess they've got an alibi if they don't think they're in a relationship together.
I'm a little worried about one of our recent graduates. Not anyone in the club, mind you, they're all fine. But one of our graduates has a really unstable home life. He's really brilliant, it's just that, well, he might be homeless now. He's been an orphan his whole life, and while he's been in high school, he's had a place to live, but he's graduated now, so... He did get into college, though. Hopefully he can get some financial aid and be stable there. Hopefully.
Quite a random aside about an NPC we've never met.
My students always ask me if I'm ever going to set up a meth lab like Walter White, and the answer is definitely not. The chemistry of meth is fairly simple, but also extremely dangerous. You can easily die while trying to make it if you're careless or don't know what you're doing. Plus, it's illegal, of course. Plus, meth is a terrible drug. It hurts people, and I believe strongly that chemistry should be used to help people.
It's not the only one. I wonder what the deadliest drug is. Like, fentanyl is pretty deadly, but I don't know how it stacks up to other things because I'm, like, not up on drug knowledge.
Helium doesn't actually do anything to your lungs or vocal cords, you know. It's just a normal, stable gas. The reason it does that thing with your voice is because of sound propagation. Helium is lighter than normal atmospheric air, so sound travels more quickly through it, which means higher sound frequency, which means higher pitch. So until the helium is all gone from your lungs, your voice sounds higher.
That's interesting. I did not know that. Thanks for the science facts, Ina.
Monica's always so worried about things ending. On a large level, that is, like the world ending and such. Me, I try not to worry too much about things like that. Goodness knows there's enough else to worry about in the world without thinking about apocalypses. But I suppose Monica's the type to fret about things like that. I guess she really does have a particularly good reason to.
I don't know, I would think they wouldn't build, like, apocalypses into your simulation.
I had to deal with a wasp nest recently. It was a mud dauber wasp, I found out, and it was just a single wasp which had built just a tiny little single wasp home for itself. In the end, I couldn't bring myself to spray the nest. The wasp basically left me alone. And they go away in winter, so the problem takes care of itself. Plus, supposedly, having an old wasp nest near there is a good way to stop new wasp nests from coming in during the spring. Though I have not tested that hypothesis. So anyway, I have just tried to think of the wasps as my little friend for a few months.
I wouldn't normally recommend that. I don't really know much about that type of wasp, but, like, I know carpenter bees do basically that, and they're okay.
It's easy to say that you're not in it for the money, you know. A lot of people say that it's not all about money. But you know, everyone loves freedom. And everyone's always talking about how they'd like more freedom in their lives to do what they want. And money is that freedom, as it turns out. I get why money and the single-minded pursuit of it gets a bad rap. But maybe it's not quite so bad as some people make it out to be.
It's only bad if you're pursuing money in a way that harms others, or including yourself. There you go.
I guess one of the neat things about this room is that it's always a very comfortable temperature. Our school is nice enough, but parts of it are old and the climate control doesn't work so well. Usually the heating in winter is fine, but the cooling in summer can be somewhat spotty, which is honestly a problem. It's difficult enough as it is to get high schoolers to focus and engage. When it's too hot, forget about it. Wonder if I could get Monica to somehow replicate this space room climate for the rest of the school.
I don't know. Maybe. Who knows what you can really do if you tweak the right variables.
Have you ever had to reject someone? It's not fun. I know I complain about having a tragic dating life a lot of the time, but I do have to reject people from time to time. Not everyone is or would be a healthy partner. I used to try to be really nice about it, really let them down easy, you know. But then I found that some people would take that the wrong way, maybe think they just needed to try harder. So now I'm very firm about it. I'm not mean, I still try to be nice. But I leave absolutely no doubt about it. And I try to stick to enforcing boundaries after that. Sometimes I have to block phone numbers. That's just the way you've got to be to protect yourself. And make sure your message is understood so the other person can move on too.
Yeah, sometimes it do be like that. But I'm really glad we can just load to get to the next topic, because that's pretty great. Like, I know the original game had this exact gimmick, and they actually set it up such that Monica will go through all her topics uniquely before repeating one. Obviously, it seems they did not know how to do that, but thankfully we have this little shortcut for us.
My personal heroes are scientists who stood up for truth at great personal risk, or even might have cut against their own preferences or interests. Like Galileo or Johann Kepler. Science is really just about absolute respect for the truth, and making sure that you, as an imperfect human, don't screw up when you're looking at it, or looking for it, and it's collaborative. You are working not only with other people in the world, but with the billions of humans who have come before you. And those who will come after. There is something very beautiful about that to me.
Now, if only there were people willing to pursue science and actually pursue truth instead of just being ideologically driven or bought out.
I'm not particularly enthusiastic about onions. I mean, I don't hate them or anything. They can be pretty tasty, I guess. Just not my favorite thing ever. I'm not sure why I felt compelled to share that.
That's okay. I'm not particularly fond of onions either. Like, I can have them with other things as long as I don't really notice how, like, crunchy they are.
Now you can quit any time, you know. Just hit escape and quit like normal. I'll still be here when you get back, if you choose to play my mod again. Although I'll still give that same introduction. I guess you can say it if that bothers you. There isn't much else you can do to break this loop, though. Other than play something different, I guess. But why would you ever want to do that? Just kidding.
Does it truly not end? I mean, maybe that was how she tells you to get out, because Monica did say there was a way out, but
Look, I'm still getting emails from my parents of my students from last year. This is an aspect of the time actually moving forward that I'd never considered much before. Some of these students have graduated the high school, and their parents are still grade lobbying. I guess I should be glad that they're emailing and not calling me every day. I've had to deal with that unpleasant situation before. But still, for heaven's sake, the semester is long over. They need to just let it go.
How much more you gotta say, Ina? How much more you gotta say? I'm surprised we're still getting new topics as frequently as they are.
Someday I'd really like to go on an airplane. I just think they're amazing. It feels like something that shouldn't be possible, and yet it happens. I would have flown before, but it's a little expensive, and the train works for most every trip for me. Hopefully someday I have a good excuse.
We going. We're still going. So many.
Did you know that whole metals but two are naturally gray in color, like silver, for instance? It's true. Every single one is silver gray except two. And those two are gold and copper. But here's the real crazy thing. You might ask yourself, why are those two different? The answer is red shifting. When things move close to the speed of light, they shift in color. And gold and copper have outer electrons that are moving at relativistic speeds, so they shift the color of gold towards the red end of the spectrum. Not so far that they become red, mind you, but enough so that they become yellower. Isn't that neat?
That is neat. I'd have thought that would be more of like a geology fact than a chemistry thing, but I guess they're kind of related.
I guess I'm supposed to flirt with you in this since it's just a mod, heh? I don't really know what to say, though. I'm actually terrible at flirting. I guess I'll just say that you look great. Even though I don't really have any idea what you look like. Gosh, I am bad at this. Maybe awkward and flustered flirting is your thing?
I guess it is for some guys. Everybody's got a thing.
Someday I'd like to buy a house. But prices are through the roof and Swoop almost told you the name of our city. But yeah, we live in a coastal city and the housing prices are very high.
So it's a coastal city that starts with an S.
It's already about as much as I can do on a teacher's salary to pay the rent. Yet another reason I need to find a partner.
Not that it matters, because you live in computer Japan, as that one emailer said.
I stayed over with my parents recently. They're still alive, thank goodness. I try to visit them as often as I can. It's not as much as I'd like, but every time I can, I go. I know that I don't have forever with them, and I was really lucky. I had very good parents, so I like to hang out with them.
My parents are both still alive as well. They're doing okay. They're not that old yet, but they're getting there.
One thing I'll say for this space room is that it's very clean. Monica kind of has a thing for cleanliness, I've noticed. Most classrooms in the school get cleaned every day, but still, with hundreds of high schoolers through them in a day, they get dirty again fast. I definitely appreciate that Monica cleans the club room. And, created this room to be clean, I suppose.
I don't know that she created anything. It might have just... It's just an environment where, like, it's stripped down to so many things that maybe dust doesn't even settle there.
They say everything ends eventually. Well, to be more specific, Monica says that a lot. But I wonder how that works in here. I guess we're sort of dependent on your universe to exist. And when things finally end here, or there, things will end here too. Sobering thought. Still, we have a lot of time until then. I wonder how long in your time we'll all live.
Well, based on, like, how it's described in the original game, your universe closes when you close the program. But whatever.
Have you ever played bridge? It's actually a really super deep game. And a difficult one. I usually play it with a few old people I know who love it. It's a lot of fun, you should try it.
Great topic, thanks. My family was always more partial to Liverpool, or progressive rum as some people call it.
It's getting really cold at night here. Cold enough that when I wake up in the morning it's just slightly chilly under the covers.
How does that work?
I guess I probably need heavier blankets. Or a man to go under the covers with. Sorry, you probably didn't need to hear that. My dating life continues to not go quite that well.
I was gonna say that kind of depends on like the density of your sheets, I would suppose, because they help retain your body heat, but if they're really thin, maybe not.
A lot of the kids at the school play Minecraft. I played a little of it just to understand the appeal, but not enough to be any good. I definitely understand the appeal, though. It's a very creative game. Plus, there's a lot to learn. Recipes, redstone stuff, all very interesting. It's definitely a game that helps you think in useful ways.
I understand the appeal too, but it's just not for me, because I can't stand open worlds. I need, like, objectives. And guidance.
The club keeps bothering me to join them for poems, but I don't feel right about it yet. I'm a very bad perfectionist. I have trouble writing anything like that unless it's perfect. So I don't want to show them any work of mine until I think it's flawless. I have a high standard to live up to as a teacher, after all. Even a chemistry teacher.
I think, what, didn't Monica struggle with that in, like, the side stories? I can't remember, it's been a long time.
It's neat that the club makes its own mods. Very confusingly recursive in a way to be neat, but neat. They've really made some interesting stuff. And some romantically charged stuff too. But I guess that's to be expected at their age. Just whirling bags of hormones, teenagers.
That does describe teenagers.
One of the things that really scares me about the places our players live are all the school shootings I hear about. We don't really have those here. I can't imagine trying to teach somewhere while worried that someone might pull out a gun and shoot. That's unthinkable. And to lose a student, I have no idea how I'd react to that. My heart goes out to all the students who get hurt or killed, of course, but I also think of what their teachers must feel like. Awful. Probably best to leave that topic.
Well, on the bright side, they're, like, incentivized to report them as much as possible, so it probably sounds like they're more frequent than they actually are, because, like, the news is basically guaranteed to cover them.
It's very strange to know that your students are sexually active. I mean, it's one thing to have strong suspicions, but to know it's for a fact it's entirely different. It feels off somehow. To me, they all seem too young. They're all kids to me. I know they're adults now and can make their own decisions, but I don't know. It just feels off, like they're still too immature.
I agree wholeheartedly. But, you know, age of consent and all that. Some people mature more quickly than others. That's why they settled on, like, 18 as, like, a happy medium.
God, I hate all the faculty meetings we have to have. I mean, I get we need to meet sometimes, but it's just too much. I feel like it's not well respected that we only have so much time. And most of it should be spent on lesson plans and actual teaching. But no, we have to review our metrics and enrollment and all sorts of nonsense. I feel like every second I spend in a meeting, my students' experience gets miserably worse as a result. Maybe I should say something about it to administration.
Speak up. Make your voice heard at those meetings. Be such a nuisance that they stop inviting you.